The South Hill in Spokane is absolutely Spokane's most classic neighborhood. It is the place where it seems like everyone just wants to be. There's a lot of cool features there. It's close to downtown. In fact, let me show it to you right here on the map. So here we are in Google Maps, and here is downtown Spokane right here. And the South Hill is basically everything right here south of downtown, going to be east of 195. And along here, this is basically a ridge right here. These are going to be view properties looking west. Now, here's the neighborhoods of the South Hill. And I'm going to go into a little bit of disagreement here, but this is the city of Spokane. The city of Spokane, this is their official website. They're calling that the South Hill is 5 neighborhoods. Cliff Cannon, up here close to downtown. Manitou, Cannon Hill right here around Manitou Park. Comstock, Rockwood, and Lincoln Heights. And they're leaving out Southgate. So Lincoln Heights is not a fair comparison to the South Hill. When you think of the South Hill and you think of the classic homes in the South Hill, believe me, you're not thinking of any of these houses down here, off of Freya, off of Ray, down here by these parks, by the freeway. It's not. Now, that might officially be part of the South Hill, but if I get a phone call from someone and they say, hey, Brian, show me a house on the South Hill, I'm not taking them down there to Freya, and I probably would take them over here to parts of Southgate. So I'm going to leave off in this review Lincoln Heights because I don't think that's fair from people out of town, because this is basically a realtor's opinion review, a realtor's opinion video of the South Hill. And then I'm going to leave out Southgate at this moment. We're just going to talk about these 4 neighborhoods here. So the South Hill does encompass all of these neighborhoods, but they're a little bit different than each other. Cliff Cannon up north has views of downtown. You've got more apartments up here. Manitou, Cannon, and Cannon right here. Well, you've got Manitou Park. I'll get to that in a minute. Rockwood has some of the most classic, most beautiful, largest homes in Spokane. And then Comstock South has just absolutely beautiful classic homes. Not quite as big as the ones you're going to see on Rockwood or Manitou necessarily, or not quite as old, but you're going to get newer homes down here. You're going to get 70s and that sort of thing. And Comstock Park right here in the middle, actually it's not in the middle, it's over here on the west side, is a beautiful little park. I've got some video of that I'll show you right here also. Now, if you lived here in the South Hill, or if you were thinking of moving here, you're probably, depending on where you are in the South Hill, you're at the max from 10 to 20 minutes away from the airport. You're probably anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes to downtown Spokane, and you're in the valley in 20 minutes, unless there's traffic at a weird moment, but you don't have huge amounts of traffic. And then you're going to be in Coeur d'Alene in about 45 minutes to 55 minutes from the South Hill. Seattle, you're going to be 5.5 hours to Seattle, and you're going to be a little over 6 hours to Boise. Now, if you lived here, this is all city streets, you guys. There's not any other freeways. The freeway that you have in Spokane is I-90 cutting through downtown up north, and then 195 down here going down towards Cheney. But other than that, you are going to be on not busy, but just city streets. Some are going to, obviously, there's feeder streets. There's going to be busier ones. And then you've got, your typical tree-lined, beautiful neighborhood streets here on the South Hill. My name's Brian Johnson, and I'm a real estate broker right here in Spokane with Windermere Valley, Liberty Lake. If you have any questions about real estate, feel free to reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me a message. I love helping you guys. My YouTube clients are my favorites, so please don't be shy. Reach out with any questions you have. I love just talking to you guys about real estate. Also, my channel is all about Spokane real estate. So if you like that sort of content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and you'll get more of these type of videos. And I do market reviews of what's going on in the Spokane market weekly. So that's something you can look forward to if you're sort of a real estate junkie about Spokane. Now, there's not really a moment like when did the South Hill get started, but you're going to find, age of houses. You're going to get houses pre-World War I. So, in fact, I was showing a house just a couple weeks ago. It was built, I think, in 1906, about $650,000. Beautiful big home, 4-bedroom, was probably 2,200 square feet. Classic home, big detached garage. So there's not like a definitive age. You're going to get brand new homes also in the South Hill. There's going to be infill going on in Spokane for years to come, for sure. But you're going to have, if you were looking for those big classic Victorian homes, something close to downtown, your budget's a lot more, and you really want to get that really swanky home that maybe that's 100 years old or just in that right neighborhood by the park, then the South Hill is certainly going to be what you're looking for. So before I get too far into the video about real estate on the South Hill, really the elephant in the room in Spokane, the South Hill, is Manitou Park. You can't go to the South Hill without realizing you've got one of the most beautiful parks basically on this side of the state for sure. It's a huge park, and I've got some really cool video I took of the park right here, and I'm going to show it to you. But let me first tell you a little bit about Manitou. So Manitou has 5 gardens, a conservatory, and a duck pond. It's 90 acres. It has manicured lawns, playgrounds, walking and biking paths, flowers, shrubs, greenhouse, conservatory, and a lot of gardens. Manitou Park is the kind of place that it's if you want to go for a beautiful walk and you want to be surrounded by flowers or some trees or some ponds and water, Manitou Park can't be beat. You're going to spend all day there. It's really neat. So here, take a look at some of this video. All the links that I show in this video are going to be in the description below, the school links and that sort of thing, so you can check this out yourself. But one of the things I wanted to show you is sort of what schools are in the South Hill. Now, in those neighborhoods that we're talking about, this is the elementary school map right here, and you have a number of elementary schools feeding this area. Up here, North Cliff Canyon, you've got Roosevelt. Down here by Perry, you've got Grant. Over here in Rockwood, you've got Hutton Elementary. Over here on the west side, Wilson Elementary. Down below here, you've got Jefferson. And then down below here, you've got Hamblin. And then down on the south, which isn't really the South Hill, it's the Moran Prairie, but I'm going to include it because just right here, you do have a little bit of the South Hill, maybe, Mullen Road Elementary. Now, when it comes to middle schools, there's 2 choices right here in the Spokane School District. Now, these aren't the private schools. There's private schools all over Spokane. So these are just the public schools. Up here north by Manitou a little bit, you've got Sacagawea Middle School. And then down here on the south end a little bit on the Moran Prairie, you're going to have Pepperjack Middle School. I am butchering that name, so I'm just going to leave it right there. And then for high schools, for the most part on the South Hill up here, you've got Lewis and Clark High School right below the freeway and right next to downtown. And then on the east side over here, because you do have some, I said Lincoln Heights isn't part of this video, but you still have a lot of what I would have called the South Hill down here. So in that area, you're going to be looking at Ferris High School. Even though it's mostly residential, it's not all. There is good shopping. There's really cool shopping on the South Hill. There's restaurants kind of sprinkled throughout it. I'm not going to show you all the restaurants or the areas because you can have right in the middle of a bunch of houses, you can have a really neat restaurant. Like one of my favorite, Wisconsin Burger, is a really cool restaurant. It's like a high-end Red Robin, and instead of having ice cream, they have custard. If you've ever had that, it's just ice cream with a much higher fat content, which we don't need, but it's really yummy. That's a great burger place. For example, they're just nestled in a house within a neighborhood of other houses. I think there's a couple of other little shops around there, but it's not like a big shopping area. You could live literally across the street. But for shopping areas, you do have a bunch. So down here on the Moran Prairie on the south end, right here, Rock City Grill, De Leon's Tacos, McKenzie River Pub and Pizza. You've got Starbucks. You've got a lot of shopping right in here. Move Fitness. You have the YMCA down here. If I was to jump up just a little bit north of that, you've got sort of your big box shopping is going to be right here. You've got PetSmart, Target, Mod Pizza is going to be up here. McDonald's, gross, but there's McDonald's. Sorry. Going up a little bit north, a little bit more shopping up here. And this is all along Regal. You've got some neat restaurants, and yeah, you've just got to check it out. Now, the median sales price on the South Hill right now is about $500,000. It's going up and down every day a little bit, it seems like. But roughly speaking, the median, which is the better average, is about $500,000. So I did a little quick search here on my website. I have a website with great search opportunities for you guys. Go to brianjohnsonrealestatebroker.com. And it's a really good search website that has accurate information. A lot of stuff like on Zillow is inaccurate because they don't pull off the pendings or they don't let you know it's pending because they basically don't want you to know it because they want you to call them to sell you as a lead to me. But in that median price range down here in Spokane, you can see sort of just the outside. I'm looking at some of these houses here. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,000 square feet for $550. Here's a more classic house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath on 11th for $515. 530. This is, wow, that's a cool little house right there. 530, 5-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,400 square feet. Here's a bigger, looks like a more modern house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,800 square feet for $537. And then the 585 on 43rd. This is a cute little 4-bedroom, 3-bath at 2,600 square feet. So just looking at these pictures, you guys, you can kind of get a really rough general idea of kind of the median sales price down here on the South Hill. You know, it's frustrating. Being a realtor, I'm very, my orientation geographically is always by looking at a map. So for me, you know, north is up and south is down. So when I talk about the South Hill, I always say people, well, go down to the South Hill. Well, everyone around here always says, well, go up to the South Hill, even though it's south on the map. The reason why is because obviously the South Hill's a hill. I mean, just look at this drive right here. This is this is going up from downtown up the south to the South Hill, and these are facing the hospital area, which is all these hospitals are lining the ridge between the South Hill and downtown. And they've been there forever. That's probably why you have so many cool houses and big, beautiful houses that are super old right behind the hospitals. Because I imagine in the old days, a lot of the doctors and rich guys that work downtown, or doctors at the hospital, all wanted big houses right in that area. So it would have been the South Hill. But I always say down on the South Hill. Locals always say up on the South Hill. Go figure. And now for the cost of living on the South Hill is basically the cost of living in Spokane. Though the housing is going to be a little bit more, 5% overall compared to the U.S., it's a little bit more expensive to live in Spokane. Housing is 4% higher. South Hill, that's going to be even bigger. Utilities are 1% more than the national average. Groceries, 3% more. And transportation is 10% more than the national average. And that's probably because poor public transportation in Spokane is pretty much a drive town. You're driving absolutely everywhere. Now going down here to housing, utilities, and transportation, for the South Hill, this is pretty accurate except for the median home price. So this is Spokane in general. Add $100,000 to this, and that's where you're at on the South Hill. And the median rent, that's going to be median, but really, if you're looking for a 2-bedroom, you might be pushing that $1,500 to $2,000 a month range. Energy, phone, and gas, these are pretty spot on. And then the food, of course, down here is pretty spot on also, but I wouldn't trust the healthcare costs down below. That's very personal. If you'd like to see any houses in and around the South Hill or anywhere in Spokane or anywhere generally in this area, feel free to reach out to me, you guys. Here's my contact information, and thanks for watching my video.